All right, guys, I am so excited to read more of our book. As I'm reading, I still want you to listen for those multisyllabic words. You're going to try to find 5 of them so you can pause as I'm reading and find them. And then you're also going to look still for a simple and a compound sentences. I'm going to put yesterday's activity and today's activity for that together for one grade. Together for one grade, okay? So I need you to do your best. All right, we are on chapter 8. Over on the side of the stage, oh yeah, remember Mr. Limoncello just got there. Over on the side of the stage, a shoe that looked like a peeled open banana appeared from behind a curtain. When it landed, the shoe burp squeaked. Kyle looked up and there he was, Mr. Limoncello. Let me zoom for you in case you're writing some stuff. He had loose and floppy limbs and was dressed in a 3-piece black suit with a bright red tie. His black, broad-brimmed hat was cocked at a crooked angle atop his curly white hair. That is a great description right there. I can imagine that in my head. Kyle, and that's an example of showing me something instead of telling me. I can imagine that. Kyle was so close he could see a sly twinkle sparkling in Mr. Limoncello's coal-black eyes. Treading very carefully, Mr. Limoncello walked toward the podium. The burp squeaks in his shoes seemed to change pitch depending on how hard he landed on his heels. He added a couple of little jig steps, a quick hop, and a stutter step skip, and yes, his shoes were squeaking out a song. Pop goes the weasel. On the pop, Mr. Limoncello popped behind the podium. The crowd went wild. Mr. Limoncello politely bowed and said very softly, thank you, grazie, grazie. He bent forward so his mouth was maybe an inch away from the microphone. Buongiorno, boys and girls, he spoke very timidly, very slowly. This is how me mama and me papa teach me to speak the English. He wiggled his ears, straightened his back. But then he said in a crisp, clear voice, I went to the Alexandriaville Public Library, where a wonderful librarian named Mrs. Gail Tobin helped me learn how to speak like this. If 2 witches were watching 2 watchers, which witch would watch? Which watch? I can also speak while upside down and underwater, but not today because I had the suit dry cleaned and do not want to get it wet. Mr. Limoncello bounced across the stage like a happy grasshopper. Now then, children, if I may call you that, which I must because I have not yet memorized all your names, even though I am working on it, what do you think is the most amazingly incredible thing you'll find inside your wondrous new library? Besides, of course, all the knowledge you need to do anything and everything you ever wanted or needed to do. No one said anything. They were too mesmerized by Mr. Limoncello's rat-a-tat words. Would it be A, robots silently whizzing their way through the library restocking shelves? B, the Electronic Learning Center where 3 dozen plasma screen TVs all connected to flight simulators and educational video games? Or C, the Wonder Dome, lined with 10 giant video screens. It can make the whole building feel like a rocket ship blasting off into outer space. The game room, someone shouted. The robots, the video dome. Mr. Limoncello raced back to the podium and made a buzzing noise in the microphone. Sorry, the correct answer is, and not just because of Winn-Dixie, D, all of the above. The crowd went wild. Mr. Limoncello whirled around to face his head librarian. Dr. Zinjinko, will you kindly help me pass out our first 12 library cards? It was time to announce the essay contest winners. Dr. Zinjinko placed a stack of 12 shiny cards on the podium in front of Mr. Limoncello. Please, he said, as I call your name, come join me on stage. Miguel Fernandez. Yes! Miguel jumped up out of his seat. Akimi Hughes. Woohoo! Kyle was thrilled to see his 2 friends be the first ones called on stage. Andrew Peckelman, Bridget Wage, Sierra Russell, Yasmin Smith-Snyder. Yasmin squealed when her name was called. Sean Keegan, Haley Daly, Rose Vermeet, and Kayla Corson. 10 kids, all the same age as Kyle, were on stage with his idol, Mr. Limoncello. He was not. Only 2 more chances. As if reading his mind, Mr. Limoncello said, "Only two more," and tapped a pair of library cards on the podium. "Charles Chiltington." "Gosh, really?" He dashed up the podium and started pumping Mr. Limoncello's hand. "Thank you, sir. This is such an honor. Truly, I mean it." "Thank you, Charles. May I have my hand back? I need to flip over this final card." "Of course, sir, but I cannot wait to spend the night in your library, or as I like to call it, your Athenaeum." That's another word for library. That's a weird word. "Because, as I said in my essay, when you open a book, you open your mind." Finally, Charles, the brown-noser, let go of Mr. Limoncello's hand and went over to line up with the other winners. "And last but not least," said Mr. Limoncello, "Kyle Keeley." Kyle could not believe his ears. He thought he was dreaming. But then Akemi started waving for him to come on up. Dazed, Kyle made his way up the steps to join the others on stage. Mr. Limoncello handed Kyle a library card. His name and the number 12 were printed on the front. Two book covers, "I Love You, Stinky Face," and "The Napping House," were on the back. "Let's all pose for pictures, please," said the principal. When everybody moved into position for the photographer, Kyle found himself standing right next to Mr. Limoncello. He swallowed hard. "I'm a big fan, sir," he said, his voice kind of shaky. "Why, thank you. And remind me, you are—" "I'm Kyle, sir, Kyle Keeley." "Ah, yes, the boy who proved what I've always known to be true. The game is never over till it's over." Bong. Oh, I love that part. Okay. Chapter 9. Kyle couldn't wait to tell his family the good news. "I won the essay contest." He showed them his shiny new library card. "Congratulations," said his mom. "Way to go," said his dad. His brother Curtis and Mike were more interested in Kyle's other card, his $500 Limoncello gift card. "It's good for 12 months, said Kyle. "But you need to use it now," said Mike. "We need to go to the store tonight so you can buy me Mr. Limoncello's kooky wacky hockey." "I can't." "Why not?" "I have to show my library card at the store to cash it in." "And—" "I'm grounded, remember?" "You know, Kyle," said his dad, looking at his mother, who nodded, "since you worked extra hard and did such a bang-up job on your essay, I think we might consider suspending your punishment." "Really? Really?" Kyle's mom and dad smiled at him, the way they smiled whenever Mike won a football game or Curtis won the science fair. After supper, all 5 Keeleys piled into the family van and headed off to the local toy store. "Limoncello's hockey game is awesome," said Mike, as they drove to the store, "especially when the Penguins play the Polar Bears." "I'm hoping to find a classic board game," mused Curtis. "Mr. Limoncello's bewilderingly baffling bibliomania." "Is that about the Bible?" asked their dad from behind the wheel. "Not exactly," said Curtis, "although the Bible, especially a rare Gutenberg edition, may be one of the treasures you must find and collect, because the object of the game is to collect rare and valuable books by—" "The Penguins and kooky wacky hockey aren't from Pittsburgh like in the NHL," said Mike, cutting off Curtis. "They're from Antarctica, and the Polar Bears, they're from Alaska." Kyle had decided to divvy up his gift card 5 ways to give everybody, including his mom and dad, $100 to play with. As soon as they entered the toy store, the family split up, cruising the aisles with their own shopping carts. His mom was going to upgrade to Mr. Limoncello's Restaurant Rush. His dad was looking for one of Mr. Limoncello's complicated what-if historical games. What if the Romans had won the American Civil War? Kyle hung with Curtis and Mike for a while. Being the one with the gift card made him feel like he was suddenly their big brother. Mike quickly found his PlayStation hockey game, and Curtis was in geek heaven when he finally found Bibliomania. "They only have one left," he gushed, tearing off the cellophane shrink wrap and prying open the lid. He sat down in the middle of the store and unfolded the game board on his lap. "You see, you start under the rotunda in the circular reading room. Then you go upstairs and enter each of these 10 chambers where you have to answer a question about a book." I think I hear Mom calling me," said Kyle. "She must need the gift card. Enjoy!" And Kyle took off. "The store will close in 15 minutes, announced a voice from the ceiling speakers. Kyle flew up and down the aisles and grabbed a couple of board games he didn't own yet, including Mr. Limoncello's absolutely incredible Iron Horse, a game where you build your own transcontinental railroad, complete with locomotive game pieces that actually puff steam. As Kyle was doing some quick math to see if he'd spent his $100, Charles Chiltington rolled up the aisle with a cart crammed full with $500 worth of loot. Games stacked on top of games were practically spilling over the side. Mr. Limoncello's phenomenal picture word puzzler, one of Kyle's favorites, was teetering on top. "Hello, Kiwi," said Chiltington with a smirk. He looked down at the 3 games sitting in the bottom of Kyle's shopping cart. "Just getting started?" "No." "No, I shared my gift card with my family." "Really? Well, that was a mistake, wasn't it?" Kyle was about to answer when Chiltington said, "So long, see you on Friday." Kyle wasn't 100% sure, but Charles might have also muttered, "Loser." Since the store was about to close, Kyle headed towards the checkout lanes. When he passed the customer service department, he saw Haley Daly. No, Kyle heard Haley say in a hushed tone to the clerk working the returns window, I do not want to return these items for store credit. I would prefer cash." Kyle finally found his family, showed the cashier his library card, and paid for everything with a single swipe of his gift card. "You know, Kyle," said his dad, as the family walked across the parking lot, "your mother and I are extremely proud of you. Writing a good essay isn't easy." "Maybe you'll be an author someday," added his mom. "Then you could write books that'll be on the shelves of the new library." "Thanks, little brother," said Curtis, practically hugging his bibliomania box. "Yeah," said Mike, "this was awesome. Way to win one for the team." "Best family game night ever," joked their dad. Kyle was enjoying his rare moment of glory, playing Santa Claus for his whole family. As the week dragged on, Friday night and the library lock-ins started to remind Kyle of Christmas too. It felt like they would never come. Then, finally, they did.